truth about buying property as a buy-to-let investor or as a buy-to-sell investor. That's what I'm going to be chatting about this week. So if you're interested to find out the differences, hey, stick around. Hi, Kevin Wright back here with another property finance-based video. And I'll record these little videos based on my 20 plus years experience financing every type of property from a simple buy-to-let up to multi-million pound development loans and everything in between. And also for the past few years, helping investors understand how to intelligently and creatively finance property deals so they can buy more property with less cash. And hey, who doesn't like the sound of that? So buy-to-let, buy-to-sell. Let's look at some of the differences. So buy-to-let, it gives you the potential for regular drips of money into your bank account. In other words, you get more rent than the mortgage you pay, so you make a monthly profit, if you're doing it right, of course. The additional bonus there is over the years that you hold on to the property, you get the possibility of the potential of capital growth. That's not guaranteed, and it's going to be different where you invest in the country, because the UK is certainly diverse in the growth potential of areas of property. Now, buying to sell, in other words, flipping, as is a common word now, buy a property, sell it for more money, usually within a matter of months or certainly within a year or so. Now, there's no drip feeding of cash, but you get one big lump sum of it when the sale completes, but no residual income after you've sold the property. Now, underneath these two pillars, buy to hold, buy to sell, there are a number of sub-strategies. In other words, the way you derive rental income. Now, it could be HMOs, service accommodation, commercial, other types of rental income. And it also could be conversions. You take one property and convert it into something else. For example, take a commercial property and convert it to residential. Take a house, convert it into flats. Let's drill down more into buy to sell first, and then let's look at buy to rent after. Now, why would someone choose to buy a property, improve it in one way or another? Usually it's a refurb, but it could be other ways too. Why would they do that and then sell it on to someone else rather than keep it and rent out? Now, it could be they find the whole idea and concept of being a landlord quite unappealing. I mean, landlords are the butt of some stick, aren't they? Let's be honest. Actually, let's define that a bit more accurately. Residential landlords get a lot of stick. Commercial landlords get next to none. Or certainly I don't see them getting anywhere near as much flack as residential landlords do. So it could be an aversion to being a landlord. It could also be an inability to get mortgages. In other words, they've got a credit history or maybe a lack of provable income that makes it difficult in varying degrees to get mortgages, so they choose not to. Now, if it's the can't get mortgages, well, they can keep flipping until their credit or their income becomes better over time, and they eventually become mortgageable if they harbour ambitions of becoming a landlord. Now, some people choose buy-to-sell properties that are dilapidated, doer-uppers, fixer-uppers, to use some other terms. Now, done well, the value of these properties can increase quite substantially over a short period of time, either by doing the work to bring it up to an acceptable standard or by solving any particular problem that the property has. Now, buying and selling repeatedly is a great way to build up an ever larger cash reserve. Now, if you can buy well, possibly under market value, do some work that adds exponential value, you should make a tidy profit. Now, for a number of investors, this works fine. They see no need to deviate from this. Now, for some investors, this works fine, and they see no reason to deviate from this. Now, variation on this is properties that might not need much work, if at all, but have got a highly motivated seller. In other words, someone with a very strong incentive or motivation to sell the property quickly. In this case, it could be bought at a given price and then resold without quite the same level of motivation at a profitable price. So that's buying to sell. Now let's move over to buying to let. That's common for investors to buy dilapidated properties. Now these properties can be done up over a very short period of time, usually a few weeks, sometimes a few months. That increases the value. They then get a mortgage against the higher value and pull as much of their cash out as possible. Now in some cases you're going to need cash for the deposit and for the refurb. In other cases, using the right type of finance, you just need the deposit because the refurb cash can be borrowed as well. The property is unmortgageable right now. That increases the possibility it could be bought under value. Now, it's often going to be because it's got some problem that needs solving. And solving the problem would switch it from being unmortgageable to mortgageable. Now, if it's unmortgageable, that means you can't use a buy-to-let mortgage to buy it. So you need to have an alternative. Now, a great alternative is cash because there's zero borrowing costs on using your own cash. Of course, not everyone's got cash. So if you haven't got cash and you haven't got access to borrow it from someone you know, you're going to need a different solution. And that solution is bridging finance. Now, if you've watched any of my videos, you know I do bang on quite a bit about bridging finance. In part because stretching back over a decade, we in the brokerage, we brokered hundreds, literally hundreds of bridging deals. So we do have a pretty good idea what we're talking about when it comes to bridging finance. Now, bridging finance comes into play for unmortgageable properties, whether you're buying to sell or buying to rent out. Now, bridging finance comes into play whether you're buying to sell or buying to rent out when it's an unmortgageable property. It's also true that many investors aren't either buy to sell or buy to hold and rent out. They're a mixture of the two. And sometimes that could be determined by the property itself and what it lends it to. Some properties naturally suit flipping, others naturally suit holding on and renting out. Often another influence is people's preference, what they prefer to do. We talked about those preferences at the beginning of this video. So there we are. This week we've been delving down into the reasons why some people use a buy-to-let strategy, other people use a buy-to-sell strategy, and some of the reasons behind that. Hope you've enjoyed that video. I'm going to be back with another video next week. Hey, see you then. If you enjoyed watching this video, did you know every Monday morning at 8:30 I do a live Facebook Q&A. So if you want to start the week with checking out some answers to your property finance questions, click the link here.